Exactly. So that's our camera.
Maybe I'll need to learn the ethics of TV station.
Yes, just keep watching the camera. We apologize for the cut in transmission. As you know, we are talking about the strike. So something about the strike also came to the studio. So we're talking about what happened in Imo State, and is it necessary to extend it to a national level? That's the ongoing strike. Is it necessary to carry it all the way from Imo State and bring it all the way to the whole of Nigeria?
Actually, it's not necessary. That's just in total terms, it's not necessary. Because Imo State economy is different from Nigerian economy. And the politics in Imo is different from the politics in Nigeria.
Whole of the nation.
Even what is obtainable with the NSC in Imo State is different from what is obtainable with NLC in Nigeria. So that's the difference. And when you bring what happens in Imo to Nigerian level, it becomes, it affects our public image, our international image. It affects our investment. It affects a portion of our gross national GDP, and it affects a lot of lives. So why bringing it on board? Why making the masses suffer for it? I sympathize with the NLC. I sympathize with the office of the president of NLC, but it shouldn't have gotten to this stage. So we are looking for solution.
So you talked about a portion of the country's GDP. There's a report that Nigeria loses 50 billion daily if the nation decides to go on a strike. So with the inflation and everything around our economy, that's the fiscal aspect of our economy, can we afford to have gone on another strike just a month or a few months after the one in strike?
Nigeria doesn't need any strike as of today, because what we are suffering from, the basic element of what Nigeria is suffering from today is productivity related issues. When we talk about the dollar, when we talk about the inflation rate, when we talk about a lot of things, it has to do with productivity. So why stopping the productivity when you know that is the lifeline, is the life wire of the nation? So it should be brought to table that not all staff should go on strike at this critical moment of our national life, because electricity is needed to power a lot of businesses. We have supplies of fuel to power a lot of businesses, and we have a lot of issues that businesses need to do to survive daily. We have a lot of people that survives daily on their daily hustling, not just on salaries. We should bring this to table, and we should know that productivity should be paramount on our mind as a nation at this critical moment.
So the key issue that led to this particular strike is the manhandling of the NLC president. So that's the NLC president. How does it affect the lives of the man on the street? That's the normal people.
It affects the life of the normal pedestrian people, in the sense that NLC president is perceived to be fighting the cause of the masses. So if they're fighting the cause of the masses, if he's fighting for the masses, it's expected that anything that happens to the NLC president happens to the cause of the masses. It happens to the struggle of the general populace, and it happens to the struggle of the salary earners, the employee. But irrespective of this, we should look at the economic effect, because we have the micro, we have the macro economy. When we are looking at the microeconomic effect of this, we should be looking at the macroeconomic effect of this. The macroeconomic effect is hard to bear. If you are losing 50 billion naira in this stage of our national life, it's critical. It's critical. We know how many roads we can fund with that. We know how many hospitals we can fund with that. We know what salaries we can pay with that. We know what we can do with that. We know what portion of the budget we can cash back with that with that 50 billion, which is going towards 100 as of today, because the strike is still ongoing as of today. Yes.
Okay, so moving on, we'll see how the government has responded to the strike action. What is the response of the government, as they know they're losing 50 billion in a day as of yesterday?
Yes, personally, I will assume that the government is still in shock about the strike, because the statement issued by the Nigerian president states that personal issues should not have led to a national strike. That was the statement that paraphrased. If private issues should not cumulate to national strike, that means approach to solving the strike, approach to halting the strike may be a little difficult if certain things are not brought to book. What I mean by certain things are not brought to book is that government must take responsibility. That's number one. Then how do you take responsibility for actions that doesn't emanate from you? That's where the presidency is at loss. Then if you are going to take responsibility, I believe that the National Assembly is there for the masses and with the masses. So I believe, personally, as my own private person, I believe that National Assembly should wade into this, call both warring parties, I mean the government and the NLC, to the table and try to resolve this. And I believe that an inquest should be carried out on what happened in Imo State, what happened within the room where the NLC president was quote and unquote arrested, what happened about the strike. Why will the Imo State workers not join this particular strike as of yesterday? Why will Imo State be a battlefield between the government and NLC president? After getting inquest to this, I believe that there should be an apology. There should be a public apology, whether on the national TV, whether on a newspaper by the government, if and only if they want to, by any means, accept a part of the responsibility. Because I believe that what we are looking at is a kind of mediation and a kind of taking responsibility for that action. If government can take a little responsibility for this action, the strike will be hot. And I believe that whether the strike will stop by next week, whether it is stopped by next month, whether it is stopped by next year, it will still stop at the altar, at the table of dialogue. So why not stop it now when we can still stop, when we can still salvage a little naira from it?
Okay, so the strike you talked about, the National Assembly should come in. What role can the international community play in the international community and NGOs play in the ongoing strike?
The NGO being a national organization can play a lot of roles, but I believe that the international body may not want to meddle into Nigerian politics. So it's an internal issue within our nation. So they may not want to meddle into internal issues. NGOs may do that, but will it bring the expected effects, expected results, which the NLC is looking up to? I believe that NLC is looking up to the effect of maybe the government taking responsibility for the actions, bringing the officer to book, and possibly apologizing. I believe that that's where the NLC is tailoring all efforts towards. If we are tailoring all efforts towards that, can an NGO bring that to book? The NGO doesn't have that capacity. It doesn't have that weight.
How about the National Human Rights Commission, because he was manhandled?
Whose right will they now put on table? Because the NLC is fighting for its right already.
That's what I'm saying. They would come in as fighting for the Mr. Ajawaro.
We should be looking towards amicable resolution, not bringing rights issue into this case. Because if we are going to fight for anybody's right it will linger the strike the more. Because as much as you fight for somebody's rights, we have to inquire and we have to apportion blames. We should not apportion blame at this particular point. We should be apologizing to whoever has been manhandling.
So, as at present, there has been no progress. There has been no sit-down or talk between the government and the NLC.
Because responsibility has not been taken. If you look at the statement made by the governor of Imo State, has he really accepted the responsibility of that action? Has the IGP accepted the responsibility for that action? Has the federal government accepted responsibility for their actions? No. I will say no. A statement was made by the Imo State governor regretting the action, not actually taking responsibility for action, not promising that the officers will be brought to book, not promising that there will be a mitigative actions on what has been done. Only regretting the action. If we are regretting the action, we should equally mitigate the action. And I believe that that's what the NLC should be looking towards, because what has happened has happened. We cannot reverse what has happened, and we cannot pay evil for evil. We cannot call the said police officer and start beating him or her. All we can do is to check the code of conduct, check the code of practice of police officers, and see if he or she has violated either any of this code by any means, and then bring the actions to book. But like I will tell anybody that cares to listen, we don't know what transpired in Imo State. We don't know what led to that. We don't know the verbal altercation that led to that. We don't know the physical resistance that led to that. We don't know the overzealousness that led to that. All this should be brought to book by a panel of inquiry, which I believe should be set up by either the federal government or the National Assembly or the Imo State governor. Sorry, I mean the Imo State government.
Imo State government.
That's a way of solving the issue. But I would say appeal to the NLC to call off the strike, to allow this process to take place.
So we'll now talk about how the economy has been affected. We already mentioned 50 billion naira is being lost every day of a strike in Nigeria. So looking forward, can the NLC be a little bit more regulated? Because like the president said, it's a personnel issue that the NLC chairman is bringing to a national level. So, for example, things like that, maybe something personal happened and then the NLC in the future decides to go on the strike. Should the government have a law in place? Because it's hurting everyone, not just the economy, it's hurting the man on the street.
This point is where where the NLC will not want to agree with you. Okay. I believe the Nigeria labor law should be a little bit regulated, tilted towards critical services. We should have critical services and critical operations within Nigeria that should not go on strike. Like Nigerian police will never go on strike or will not go on strike. We have other things. People in the transport sector.
The law has stopped them. It's not possible for them.
Yes, because that's what they signed for.
Okay.
We have the electricity staff. They should be made to tow this part of line. We have other staffs which we can designate as critical national staffs. They should not go on strike because it affects the economy. The purpose of any strike is not to grant the economy, because if you grant the economy, it will affect us all. It will affect our dollar, it will affect our inflation, it will affect our purchasing power, it will affect a lot of things. It will affect going to the farm, it will affect a lot of things, a whole lot of things. So we can designate some staff as critical national service providers. If you are designated as critical national service provider, you shouldn't go on strike. And I believe that there are some stages of Nigerian labor cadre that are political. If you are to be appointed to that position, you shouldn't go on strike, Because if you are going on strike, your loyalty is in question, is in doubt. If you are going on strike, your loyalty to the state, when I mean the state, I mean Nigeria, is in question. Is in question. If your loyalty to the state is in question, that means you are not fit for that for that purpose. Strike should be nipped at the bud. We should create some kind of loyalty to the political class, at least a little loyalty, so that you don't grant the nation because of any issue. We have any personal issue. We have a lot of things that should go on critical national services.
For example, the health sector, the doctors.
We have the health sector.
But they are also on strike.
They are also on strike.
Which is sad. People are dying. People go to the hospital. There are no doctors. You have to do something of an emergency. You hardly see someone to help you.
Why
because
will a doctor
go on strike? It should be against what they took the oath for.
Yes. We understand the plight. I'm not trying to downplay the situation, but they are critically necessary for running of the nation. We have the electricity staff. Why would they go on strike? They are critically necessary for the nation. We have the transport services. They are critically necessary for the
the railway too has
the railway,
stopped.
The airports. Yes, they are critical to movements of persons and goods. Why would they go on strike? Except if what we have on mind is that we are crippling this nation, we are crippling the economy, and we are going to name a scapegoat out of let's say presidency or the government. So why naming a scapegoat out of the presidency who enjoys the benefit of luxury of life, and we are the one bearing the brunt? So it's not really good to allow the general staff, the general employee to go on strike. I believe we should reclassify those who should go on strike and those who should not go on strike. And we should reclassify those who are politically appointed within an organization, within agency, within parastatals and commissions. We should identify those who are on political cadre and they are politically loyal to the government of the day, not to the detriment of the citizens, but to the effectiveness of productivity, to the effectiveness of the economy, and for the smooth running of the economy. Not just to downplay anything, not just to downplay the necessity of the strike, but to look at other alternatives of going to strike. I believe that there are alternatives. What we put on the table, I believe that we have the long time goal, the short time goal, and the long time goal. What have we done? When the IOCs were scooping crude oil in Nigeria and they are going scot-free, why don't we tell them at that point? Where are the NLC presidents of those days to tell the government that build refineries? When you build refineries, we'll be rich off it and we'll be able to supply what we need. Why not telling them that they should build some kind of factories? Why do we keep on having portfolio investors in our nation, Nigeria? They pick up, they bring their portfolio and they take it out at will. Why can't they invest on national assets? Those are the long term objectives. We have the short term. Why don't we make the Dangote refinery work? Because that's what we are looking up to today. And whether we like it or not, Nigerian government has 20% stake in it, which we should be looking up to as a citizen. So that's number two. Why shouldn't we work on revamping our refineries? Why shouldn't we work on revamping our electricity sectors? Why shouldn't we work on building our rail? Look at Abuja. Where is the circular rail in Abuja that can bring staff of civil servants around the town and then back to their houses? There is no circular rail. There is no rail. There is no provision for mass transit. There is no mass transit bus stop where staffs can enter. I mean, the civil servants can enter find mass transit to wherever they are going.
Which would
There's
be
no provision
cheaper
for all these things, which are on the medium-term basis. But on the short-term, we focus on the short-term basis, which at the end of the day, the effect will be eroded. Because as you are increasing the salaries of the staff by whatever percentage, by whatever amount, the purchasing power is equally reducing by the equal amount, because as a service provider, I will increase the cost of my service. As sellers in the market, I will increase the cost of my goods. As agents, I will increase my agency fee. So what's the effect of what we are trying to bring to table? What we are trying to bring to table may not bring that lasting effect, and we should be looking at the medium term, the long term effects of what we are dealing with. It's been said that subsidy should go. We all agree. The three major parties, while campaigning, they agreed that subsidy should go, and subsidy has gone. We have to manage the situation. NLC should be partner with the federal government in bringing solutions to the table, not partner in struggling against the federal government. We should be looking things from the positive way, not from the negative way. With all due respect to the Nigeria Labour Congress, we should be looking at it from the positive side, not from the negative side. The negative side is really telling on the nation. We are not achieving much. We are doing damage, more damage than what we are trying to correct. And what we are trying to correct is not bringing the needed solution. Look at the inflation rate as of when the salaries was increased. Everything starts increasing in price.
Else.
So what's the gain? What's the gain? What's the gain? What's the real gain that we are looking at? NLC should have channeled the efforts in making sure governments try to subsidize a lot of things. We have the agricultural produce there. We have the electricity, cost of electricity. We have a lot of things that we can benefit within Nigeria. We cannot export that outside Nigeria. We don't need Nigeria Custom to man our electricity for us. We know what we send out. We know what is going out. The only thing we need to do is to meter all consumers and make sure that they are paying right. So I believe that we still need to do more as NLC. We need to look at the strategic plan. We need to look at the medium-term plan. We need to look at the short-term plan. We don't need to dwell much on short-term plan. That's the problem we have as a nation. We dwell much on the short-term plan, which doesn't bring that much needed solution. Whoever plants a tree, we plant for the next generation. And whoever is eating a fruit, we eat for today. Why are we eating our fruits? Why not plant our tree and let the next generation benefit from it? With all due respect to the Nigeria Labour Congress, I believe that this strike has made a statement and it should be called off. With all due respect to the National Assembly, I believe that they should wade into this particular issue, because federal government may not want to take responsibility because they believe that it's not their action. It's not their action.
But the police, the Nigerian police, is a parastatal under the government. It's actually an executive cadre under the government.
One of those things we are looking forward to the government to look into is the issue of Nigerian police. Nigerian police, being under the federal government, is still subject to a CP, which is a commissioner within the state, IMO. So is answerable, or is under the state structure. Whether is answerable to the IG, answerable to the federal government, he still has a lot to play in the politics of that state. So most of what happened in IMO and should have ended in IMO. But bringing it to national table, we've had the voice of the Nigeria Labour Congress. It's time to go back to work. Let's roll our sleeves and make our dollars better, make our inflation rates come lower, and bring a lot of critical national assets to work in again. So that's my own position.
Okay, we'll take a short break, have a drink of water. You stay with us. Welcome back. So we're talking about the strike that is ongoing in the nation. And Mr. Joshua, we were talking about the police, the Nigerian police, arresting the Ajaro, that's the NLC chairman in Imo State. The demands of the NLC, are they outrageous? Because they have not even really made a demand. There is the statement that the government should take responsibilities. So that's just it. So it's a very broad statement to release as a person that is making the whole nation go on strike. What exactly should be the responsibilities of the government as said by the NLC?
The major responsibility of the government is apologies, because either apologies or bringing the officer to book. But I just believe that we are not dealing with unknown police officer. So if they can identify the officer, he should be brought to book.
It shouldn't be one person now. They are going to arrest a big man. He should carry a big car and.
Yeah, that's just it. But at this point, I believe the apologies is what we need. We need to apologize, even if it means the National Assembly coming in. I keep mentioning the National Assembly because they represent the nation, and I keep mentioning them because we can't start begging the NLC as a nation. A nation of 200 million people cannot start begging the NLC on behalf of the federal government. The only thing we can do is to send our National Assembly to the Nigerian Labour Congress, apologizing to them, because this has happened to the office of the Nigerian Labour Congress president, not Joe Ajero himself. So we should separate the two. As the office of the NLC president, I believe that the nation has a little apology to make onto him, and whether we like it or not, we paid the price already. Losing 50 billion naira as a nation is not
and
a
as
joke.
today's ruling, we've lost like 20 or 25 million.
It's not a joke. It's not a joke. So then we should look back vis-a-vis what happened with the NSAS protests. Look back into it and bring the two together to review the standard operating procedure of Nigeria police and see if they can be better off. I mean, handling situations better than what they have done. If it happens if something like this happens in nations, Western nations, it may not go to the point of brutalizing anybody, be it the NLC president, be it the normal person on the street,
be it on the rally and the people.
Yes, it shouldn't go to that extent. And I believe that if it happens in other climes, it will not go to the point of national strike. It will go through a court proceedings, and I believe they will get justice for it. So we should look at the both sides. And I would like to appeal to the Nigerian Labour Congress, because the federal government has been trying all they can to run away or to shove away from this strike. Before the deadline of any strike action will come, the president would have gone on the national TV telling them why they shouldn't go on strike, what the government measures government have put in place to mitigate whatever issues, so that the strike will not happen. So bringing this type of strike, which is not directly responsible, which is not the direct responsibility of the federal government, and
it's not even a warning strike.
It's not a warning strike.
They're not warning
yes, they are not warning. They are not waiting for anybody's response. They just went on that strike, which me personally, I wasn't expecting that strike to hold, because the last one was as strong, very, very strong than this one. I mean the preparation. Strike? Yes, was it the warning strike? The one that led to the 35,000.
Yes, that's the warning strike.
Yes,
that was the very
strike.
last one.
It was so loud that I thought they are going to strike. So when this was coming, I wasn't
You were
seeing
relaxed.
It. Yes, I was relaxed until when I saw that the light is not on. That's just when we believe that the strike is on. So please, we need to call off the strike. If possible, the federal government should take responsibility. If the federal government is not willing to take responsibility, I believe that the National Assembly can come between the federal government and the Nigeria Labour Congress to a round table, here from the Nigeria Labour Congress. Maybe during the dialogue, responsibilities will be taken. We can get a win-win situation from any dialogue, not from any war. War is not to make the two sides a winner. Is to make one side a loser, the other side
the winner.
a winner. So, and we
can't afford that.
Something. Yes, we all lose something when we struggle, rather than when we negotiate. So I believe that we should look into alternative dispute resolution into this particular issue.
You talked about someone being the winner and someone being the loser. What are the long-term impact of the trade union strike on the labor relations and policies in Nigeria?
Well, if I will gaze into the minds of the handlers of Nigerian economy, I believe that they are looking at a way to contain the excessive threats of strike by the Nigerian Labour Congress. I believe that. One of which may include signing an agreement of critical national services with staffs. One of which may be no work, no pay, which may not stand anyway. One of which may be dialogue. And one particular mitigative measures that has been used by this current regime is prompt response to threats of strikes, because they respond to that on time to avert strikes. So I believe that we should separate the economy from the struggle. If you are going to separate the economy from the struggle, we need to look into the agreement between government staff and the government itself. So we should look into that. I believe something should be done to that.
Okay, so we're going to look at the strike still. We're going to look at the industries. Which of the industries of the nation is most affected by the ongoing strike? We talked about the the transport system is down, the healthcare system is down. Everything is just down. The roads are clear, and it's really horrible.
Like I would tell anybody, whatever happens, two sectors bears whatever the effect of the strike would be, the health sector and the legal sector. All other things can be recovered. We can double our hustle to recover the 50 billion naira as a nation. But we can't recover lost life.
Human life.
We can't recover the gap in justice. Though I believe that the judiciary will have found a way around that. But we can't recover the justice lost. Just a day might have cost a lot of people injustice. Just a day might have cost a lot of people their lives. True. Just a day might have cost a lot of people their scheduled operation, their scheduled health care. So we should look at the two. So the two sectors are the most critical things to human life. And the property, I believe that Nigerian police is not on strike, which has the duty of protecting lives and property. So we may be safe on that flank, but we should equally look at the Nigeria economy itself, which is the overall bearer of the effects of this strike. So as a nation, we're bearing it.
As you said, the Nigerian police are not on strike. They're even working more than before, so that there would be no disruption. But also, have there been any instance of violence or disruptions associated with the trade union? I passed by the villa, and there are trucks of the soldier and also a lot of policemen on ground. So have there been disruptions to have caused that to be put in place?
So far, going through the social media, going through the print media, going through all other media, there is no reported case
of violence or disruptions.
Of any disruption. But I believe Nigeria police, the Nigeria security personnel will be on ground to forestall any events of that nature. And I believe that Nigeria Labour Congress will equally want to avoid that, because it will give them a bad name, and you don't at this point want to have that kind of bad name that will allow any government to pounce on the Nigeria Labour Congress. I believe that they are guiding against that, and they will not go in the way of physical aggression against.
They're on ground. That the executives of the NLC have people on ground to check that is happening, that the strike is happening. They're locking offices. They're locking offices out of their offices. For example, the National Assembly complex has been locked down. Yes. I passed by this morning, it's locked, and the workers are trying to get in, but there is no access because the NLC, those on the field to make sure the strike is ongoing, are actually there.
That's picketing, not really forcefully achieving what they want to drive home. They're picketing the organization. Picketing is allowed under the labor law. You can make yourself as much as possible, block the entrance. You may prevent people from gaining entrance or coming out of an organization. That's picketing. Is allowed under the law, and is part of the instrument of the Nigeria Labour Congress. Allowing it to go violent is what they should try to manage and guide against, which I believe the Nigeria Labour Congress will do.
Okay, we have come to the end of this segment, although the strike is not and is still ongoing. Yeah. We pray that it ends soon. Mr. Joshua, it was lovely having you here.
Thank you very much.
That's it for today. I am Maria Ado Zakari. We do hope the strike ends soon. Do take care.